करियो।
Hi students, how are you? So yesterday I have taught one class and you must have gone through it. But I was expecting you will send some queries or question. Till now you didn't ask anything. So yesterday I have taught you. I started or I was just teaching one topic that is related to X-rays. So yesterday topic I covered how much? That is what is X-ray, its properties and production of X-rays mainly. So now we will discuss about characteristic X-rays and continuous X-rays. Characteristic X-ray and continuous X-ray. This is more important topic. So what do you mean by characteristic X-ray and continuous X-ray, and under what condition they are produced? We can explain it on the basis of the X-ray spectra. What is X-ray spectra? If you plot a graph taking the wavelength along x-axis, wavelength of the X-ray produced along x-axis and the intensity along y-axis, then what type of graph comes? That will be called the X-ray spectra. For a specific material, for example, tungsten material is target. If we plot the graph for intensity with wavelength for different accelerating voltage. Yesterday I have explained you what is accelerating voltage in X-ray tube. So for different accelerating voltage, the wavelength or the nature of the X-ray will be different or will be controlled. So now if a graph is plotted for different accelerating voltage, suppose you will take 30 kilovolt. The accelerating voltage always is in the order of kilovolt. So if you plot a graph for 30 kilovolt, suppose the graph will be like this. If you do for a 40 kilovolt, suppose the graph will be like this. This is for 30 kilovolt. This is for 40 kilovolt. Then if you do for 50 kilovolt, then finally 70 kilovolt if you take, then the graph will have a nature like this. So this is for suppose 70 kilovolt. This is for a specific material, the data for tungsten as a material. So this will happen for different material taken as target. So this is the X-ray spectra. So what is observed? If the accelerating voltage is low, like this is 30 kilovolt or 40 kilovolt, we find there is a continuous or smooth variation, smoothly varying line like this, continuous varying line. So this represents all possible wavelength of X-rays or X-rays of all possible wavelength and frequencies are emitted. And below certain wavelength, there is no X-ray. But if the voltage is more, then this limit is becoming, again it is towards lower value. That means more powerful X-rays are produced. Again, if you find it is above certain value or exactly the accelerating voltage is of certain value, then a different type of graph appears. On the background of this smoothly varying line, there are some peaks. So this represents this first graph, second graph, they represent the continuous X-ray. Means all possible frequencies X-rays are emitted. And now for certain voltage like 70 kilovolt, or it depends on the nature of the material, target material, then on this background of the continuously varying graph, there are certain peaks. So those peaks corresponds to a fixed wavelength. So this is the characteristic X-ray. That means it is observed both type of X-rays like continuous and characteristic X-rays are possible. Characteristic X-ray, why it is called characteristic? Because it is of certain frequencies, fixed frequency or wavelength, and then depends on the characteristic property of the material, target material from which X-ray is emitted. So under certain condition we can produce this characteristic X-ray. And continuous X-ray is more easy to produce. Under any voltage, accelerating voltage, we can have continuously varying line here that represents all possible frequency X-rays are allowed or emitted. So now the point is how to produce this characteristic X-ray. So for characteristic X-ray, main thing is the accelerating voltage should be high, or you can say a minimum is then only the characteristic X-rays are emitted. So what is the exact mechanism for production of characteristic X-ray? We can explain it, just it is on the basis of the Bohr's theory. In atomic physics you have read that how any material can emit any radiation, because X-ray is also electromagnetic radiation. You know, in the Bohr's theory, that is when electron jumps from any one higher orbit to lower orbit, the energy is emitted out in form of electromagnetic radiation of different frequencies. And basing on Bohr's theory, we have the formula, that is our red box formula. So frequency, or you can say this formula, that is nu bar is equal to R Z square C into 1 by N1 square minus 1 by N2 square. If the electron jumps from any higher orbit N2 to lower orbit N1, then what frequency radiation is possible? Then this is the formula. Here R is Rydberg's constant, C is the velocity of light, Z is the atomic number. So as per Bohr's theory, that means when electrons are jumping from one higher orbit to lower orbit, radiation is emitted. So same thing will happen in generation for characteristic X-ray. What happens if the high velocity electrons, they strike a material or a metal where the electrons are knocked out. When a high velocity electron will strike a particular metal, then electrons are knocked out of this atom. So suppose one electron is knocked out of the first orbit, that's called K cell. That means the K cell will be empty. Then what will happen? When the K cell, there is a vacancy, then immediately the electrons from the higher cell, like from L cell or M cell, they will jump to the first K cell just to fill it up. So that process, there will be emission of characteristic X-ray. So we can explain it like this. Suppose this is your N is equal to 1 K cell, that means it is K cell. N is equal to 2, that is L cell. N is equal to 3, that is M cell, and so on. N equals to 4 and so on. So when electrons, any electron is knocked out from the K cell, there is a vacancy in K cell, then what will happen? The electron either from L cell will jump to K cell, or from M cell, or from N cell. So like this, there are possible transition. So these sets of line, these are called K alpha line, K beta, this is K alpha. In X-ray, this is K alpha line, this is K beta line, this is K gamma line, like this. So these are characteristic X-ray. These are named like this, K alpha, K beta, K gamma. So when means just to knock out electron from the innermost cell, that is understood, very high energy is required. So when the accelerating voltage is very high, very energetic electron, highly energetic electrons will strike the metal target, then this K cell will, there is a vacancy, so electron will be knocked out from K cell. Then this type of characteristic radiations are possible. Similarly, if there is a vacancy in the N cell, N equal to 2, that is L cell, then there will be vacancy in the L cell, so electron will jump from M to L, or then above it, then above from here. So this type of series of characteristic X-ray will be produced. They are named as L alpha, these are K alpha, K beta, K gamma, these are L alpha, L beta, L gamma, and so on. So this is the theory regarding this characteristic X-ray, how characteristic X-rays are produced. So they are always depending on the what frequency of characteristic X-ray. It will depend on the nature of the target or the material from which it is emitted. That is why it is called characteristic X-ray. So after knowing this characteristic X-ray, this related, there is a formula related to this, and that is known as Moseley's law. Moseley's law. So what is Moseley's law? Scientist Moseley, he studied about this, a relation between regarding characteristic X-ray, that what frequency of characteristic X-ray is emitted and how it is related to the atomic number. So he got a relation that the square of the frequency or the frequency of any characteristic X-ray is directly proportional to square of the atomic number. Square of the nu directly proportional to z square, or you can write it that root over of frequency equals to some constant a into z minus b. A and b are constant. So this is Moseley's law. So if you show it by graph, or it can be shown by a graph, that if you take atomic number z along x-axis and the root over of the frequency along y-axis, so what type of graph you will get? So this is of the form y equals to mx plus c. So you will get graph like this. So suppose this is for k alpha line, so maybe this is for k beta line, and so on. So it shows that the atomic number, that is z, it plays important role, because the characteristic or the property of the characteristic X-ray, it depends on the atomic number. That is, on the atomic number is the main parameter or important parameter for any material. So this is Moseley's law. So it can be proved also. We can prove it from this same Bohr's theory formula, that is Rydberg's formula. So according to Rydberg's formula, the frequency of any radiation equals to z square Rc 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square. This is the atomic number, a Rydberg constant. So these are constant quantity velocity of light. So from which orbit to which orbit there is a transition. Especially for just now I told you, for k alpha line, n1 should be 1, n2 should be 2. So by putting n1 equal to 1 and n2 equals to 2, so this frequency will be how much then? That will be equal to z square Rc into 1 minus 1 by 2 ka square, that is 1 by 4, that is equal to 3 by 4 C R z square. So C is a constant, R is a constant, so this implies nu directly proportional to z square. So this is Moseley's law. Thus we can prove this Moseley's law on the basis of Bohr's theory. So continuous X-ray, characteristic X-ray related to that, this Moseley's law. So generally these are important for exam point of view, and particularly Moseley's law or this characteristic X-ray, continuous X-ray, these are asked as short note type of question or short question you can say. So in this topic of X-ray, then the last topic, that is about Compton effect, or it is also called Compton scattering. Compton effect, it is also called Compton scattering. So scientist Compton, he studied about a process, that is, when an X-ray of certain frequency is striking certain material of low atomic number, when loosely bound electrons will be there, then what will happen? Now this incoming X-ray, when it will get scattered, or it will change its direction, it will go in a different direction, we will get the scattered X-ray. Then the scattered X-ray will have a higher wavelength or lower frequency than incident. Or this type of scattering, this is called incoherent elastic scattering. So this Compton effect is also called Compton scattering. Compton scattering means there is a change in wavelength of the incident X-ray when it collides or it strikes or it gets scattered from certain light material. This process is Compton effect. Actually, what is the significance of Compton effect? That is actually explained, or when we will discuss this Compton effect or this scattering, then we will see it supports the failure of the classical theory, because we can explain it only by quantum theory, by using quantum concept. So this is an important topic. Generally it comes to do the detailed calculation. How much change in the wavelength will be taking place. So we'll do a calculation. What is Compton scattering, and calculate the change in wavelength. So now if you do the calculation part, calculation of delta lambda. Delta lambda means change in wavelength. Change in wavelength during the scattering. And we will see, to do this calculation also we have to use this quantum concept. So according to quantum concept, the energy is quantized. So the X-ray is made up of photons, and the photons energy equals to h nu. So if you see, this is our incident X-ray and whose frequency is nu, then this is a photon. The photon's energy E equals to h nu, and when this is just getting scattered from this the electron present in the atom or in the material, and this atom or this electron has rest mass m naught, so that it has energy m naught c square, you can say. We will also apply the relativistic concept, its rest mass. Then after it will strike, then the photon will be scattered in one direction. Suppose in this direction the photon will, this is the scattered X-ray. This is incoming X-ray of frequency nu or wavelength lambda, and this is the scattered X-ray. So its frequency will be changed. Let it be nu dash. Frequency will be less, that means, because wavelength will be more. So its wavelength will be lambda dash. So this is the scattered X-ray, this is incoming X-ray, this is scattered X-ray, and the result, the electron itself will also be getting deflected in some direction, like a recoil particle. So this is the recoil electron. So this process we will analyze on the basis of, just like any scattering process or any collision process. Like we can apply the energy conservation, momentum conservation, we can write the equation, energy equation and momentum equation, and we will solve it, then finally we will get the delta lambda. So we have to write some equations here, like suppose we will see for energy equation we will write. So before collision, the energy of the photon is h nu plus the energy of the electron, rest mass of the electron m naught. So m naught c square is the rest mass energy of the electron. So before collision or before scattering, this is the energy. And after scattering, the energy of the photon will be now h nu dash, because frequency changed. And now the mass of the electron will be different. As per relativity theory, the rest mass is m naught, but when it starts moving, its mass will be relativistic mass. We can write m, so it will be mc square. So this is the equation 1, you can say, or energy equation. Then if you write momentum equation, momentum vector quantity, so we cannot write it like this. We have to resolve it horizontal direction and vertical direction. So along horizontal direction, the momentum before collision, we can write h nu by c, and momentum of electron 0 because it was at rest. So after this, the momentum will be h nu dash by c. Another thing, let this angle is theta and this angle is phi. So if this angle is theta, the momentum of this photon is h nu dash by c in this direction. What is its component along horizontal direction? The cos theta component will be there. So into cos theta plus the momentum of the electron will be mv, its velocity v, so it will be mv. If this is phi, then mv cos phi. So this is equation 2. That is, we are writing the momentum equation along x direction. Similarly, momentum equation for y direction, if you see, there is no component of momentum along y direction for this photon, so 0. So right side only will have, this will be h nu dash by c cos sin theta, then minus mv sin theta, m sin phi. Because this is the y negative, because this y component will be downward direction and y component of photon upward direction. So this is equation 3. So considering the energy, because it's a elastic scattering, incoherent elastic scattering, so we consider the energy conservation, we got equation 1. Considering momentum conservation for horizontal and vertical direction, we got equation 2 and 3. So by solving these 3 equations now, we will find out the change in wavelength, that is delta lambda. Finally we will get as h by m naught c into 1 minus cos theta. That means the change in wavelength does not depend on the nature of the material. It only depends on theta. H turns constant, that is constant. So the change in wavelength will the change in wavelength delta lambda does not depend on the nature of the material. It only depends on different directions. So accordingly, we will see if your theta is equal to 90 degree, when those X-ray which will be scattered perpendicular to incident X-ray, then cos theta will be 0. So in that case, delta lambda will be maximum, because if this is 0 then delta lambda will be maximum. Maximum change in wavelength, that will be h by m naught c. So if you put the value of Planck's constant mass of electron, then it will come out to 0.024 angstrom. This is known as Compton wavelength. So what is Compton wavelength? This is called Compton wavelength. That is the maximum change in wavelength during Compton scattering. So this is all about Compton effect of X-ray. Its practical importance is that it supports the quantum theory. That is, X-ray made up of photons, and also it supports the relativity theory. That is, the electrons, they have rest mass some m naught, and when it gains motion it has relativistic mass. We are applying the relativity formula. So it supports all these theories. So it is not simply a topic of X-ray. It is a very important topic in the quantum mechanics. That is the failure of the classical theory and why we needed quantum theory or new theory in the physics, that is quantum mechanics. Because on the basis of quantum mechanics we can only explain this type of effect, that is Compton effect. So today I completed this X-ray part. So I think only then left in your syllabus is Raman effect. Last class I told you only X-ray is there to be covered. Then I just went through the syllabus. Then I found no, some more topics are still left. One is Raman effect, which is also equally important for examination. And Rayleigh scattering is there, but Rayleigh scattering details, formula calculations are not required. So main topic I will cover in the next class, that is about Raman effect. So students, I think you got my point. I was waiting for your response after yesterday's class, but I did not find any response from any question, any query. So today I want that you should go through just my class, the lecture. At the same time, you go through the book also. You know the books we generally refer for this paper. Then you just can ask me the doubt. You can write your question through the WhatsApp also. Suppose I did some calculation in this Compton calculation part. I skipped many steps. So you do those steps from the book, you can follow. Then any doubt will be there, you can ask me. Thank you students. So next class again the same time, you can meet me.